to the fall 2018 edition of Mixed Media Mania, a YouTube hop featuring incredible mixed media artists and a slew of amazing prizes provided by our generous sponsors like DecoArt, Viva Las VegaStamps, AALL Corporation that brings us amazing mold putty and amazing casting products, and UmWowStudio, just to name a few. Be sure to take time to subscribe and comment at each stop to win. Some artists might be giving away their own prizes in addition to these, so keep a lookout for those also. Hello, this is Susan, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. I'm excited and honored to be included in this amazing group of artists. You can find me on social media using the handle sbartist or visit my website at sbartist.com. Now that I have all the official business taken care of, join me as I create a mixed media junk fairy. Enjoy! So let's get started. This project was inspired by this little angel that I have hanging in my guest bathroom. You never know when inspiration is going to strike. It can happen anytime and anywhere, and for me, that usually happens. During Tina Walker's Labor Day soiree, we were out thrift store hopping, and I happened upon these sweet vintage clothespins. How cute are these? They each are hand-carved, and they just look like little people to me. To win a bundle of 6 of these vintage clothespins, leave me a comment below and tell me what you would make with some of these. These need to take a visit to the garage before I begin my project. I need to drill a couple of holes, one in the top to accept an eye pin, and then also one in the front that goes through the side of it that will accept a furniture tack to affix my wings to the body. Just want to share a little info with you that you might want to know about my handmade details. These are wings that I will be using, and they are resin castings, and I'm also using a resin casting for the body. And these were vintage items that I customized prior to making my molds. I added some polymer clay to the back to fill in the holes, and I also adhered a small button on one side and then a head off of a decorative brad on the other side. I'm always on the lookout for unique items to use in my art projects. Part of the fun of these found objects is adding my own flair to them. It's quick and easy, and I do this right before that I'm going to mold and cast an original. Doing this certainly saves a little bit of time. For my body of my angel, I'm going to be using this vintage wooden drawer pull that has some nice carved features, and I've accented it with a charm on top. Through the magic of YouTube, I already have my molds prepared to share with you before making this project. Check out all the detail that the amazing mold putty picks up, even the detail of the tiny button. With amazing mold putty, you can make molds quickly and easily for food, chocolate, fondant, art projects, resin, polymer clay, you name it. To make a mold, you need to measure out equal portions of each part. Here I am conditioning part B, which is the yellow, and then I will compare it and measure it out to part A, which is the white, and I'm making sure the balls are pretty equal. This product does fuse to itself. I have a mold here that I've already made that I need to make a repair on. You see that it's not balanced. I double check that I have enough mold putty measured out by holding it up to see that one part makes about half size of my object. Okay, let's make this mold. Once you begin mixing the putty together, you need to knead the colors together till there's no more swirling and it's one uniform yellow color. You have about 2 minutes of playtime to press your item into the mold before it starts curing. Once mixed, I roll it in my hands in a ball to remove any of the creases. Then I press it on the surface to remove my fingerprints, and then press the item gently into the putty, bringing up the sides around the object to build a wall. And then you see I'm removing the section of the mold putty that's going to be reserved for my mold repair. I gently continue bringing up the sides and adjusting the mold putty around my item. I press it on the table to level it out. Then I take that other little ball and I press it onto the back of the existing mold, leveling it out. If you wanted to make a larger mold, you would just make batches, and once you have the first section cured, then you mix up another batch and add it on later. While that mold cures, I'm going to bring back my prepared molds and begin to add some color using the UmWowStudio metallic powders. I'm using silver, bronze, and gold and some paint brushes to apply metallic accents directly to my molds to bring out the details. Here I'm applying the silver, and then also on the wings I'm adding it to the button and brad details. Then I will follow up with the bronze and the gold, brushing in all of the crevices. Now, if you just wanted white resin pieces, you could just skip this step. Let's pour some resin. For this, I'm using Amazing Casting Resin. This is a 1-to-1 ratio, easy to use resin that cures in 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to save a little time here by adding some Alumilite brown dye to my resin so I don't have to paint the back of my resin castings. The dye is super concentrated. You just need a little dot of it in the base of the cup. I add part A to the cup with the dye and stir this completely, making sure all the color is incorporated before adding part B. When I add part B, you can see that the mixture goes cloudy. Keep stirring until the cloudiness returns to clear, and then you're ready to pour resin. I'm an impatient resin pourer, so I learned this tip from Kat Kerr to use my stir stick to help aid in getting the resin exactly where I want it and to help prevent over pouring, especially when you have a mold with very tiny details like this drawer pull with the key lock on top. I have an extra mold on the side reserved to use the leftover resin because I don't want to have any to go to waste. And keep watching the video. You can see the resin as color changes from clear to opaque. This is how the curing process happens. This resin cures in about 10 to 15 minutes depending on the thickness of the object or the depth of the object. Thicker, deeper items will cure and harden faster. Thinner items will take a little bit longer. While the resin cures, I have castings prepared so I can begin assembling my junk fairy. I have my wings here that are already embellished with a painted jelly printed book paper. I made this design with just a couple colors of paint and punchinella from Gauche Alchemy. This is my favorite pattern that looks very Art Deco. And I use some Art Anthology purple spray with some Ranger Distress paints. I have a whole box of these jelly printed papers. Many of them are just off pressings and rub-offs of my brayer. These are a great starting point for any project. I just take my resin wing and I trace the shape onto the paper and cut it out with scissors. I adhere it to the resin piece with Mod Podge, and when it's dry, I go back with an emery board to touch up all of the edges. I've added a patina that's a combination of DecoArt Metallic Luster Gold Rush and Silver Leaf Rub and Buff, along with some DecoArt black acrylic paint. Using some E6000, I've glued on my furniture tack to the back. This will hold my wing to the clothespin. I've also added a faux pearl to the front using E6000. I get these in the dollar bin at the craft store. So in about 5 minutes, I have a very quick and easy antique finish on these wings, and it looks like there's pearls on both sides. For the handle that will be the bodice of my angel, I'm repeating a similar process, but I'm starting with the silver rub and buff, and I'm adding it with a brush, focusing on the heart locket because I really want that to be the center of attention on the front of my angel. I want that to pop. The addition of black paint has really taken away a lot of the metallic finish that I had from the cast resin piece. So to bring back some of that sparkle, I'm adding a bit of the gold and the silver back to the details. I just add a little on and then rub it away until I get it just the way I like it. Then I'm going to go back with a toothpick and I'm going to add some black acrylic paint inside the keyhole, and this piece is ready to go. I decide to go back and add a little bit more of the gold rush. I added so much silver, I lost some of the gold coloring that I liked. A patina is a personal preference. I just keep adding and taking away until I get it just the way I like it. I'm just going to come back and revisit the molds that we had casting. The resin is cured now. I'm going to demold these for you so you can see how they came out with the finish. And while they're still a little bit soft, this is a time I use some scissors to trim away any of the areas that are over poured or pieces that I want to take away, like I'm cutting away at the keyhole. I'm also cutting away and shaving off the sharp edges. This will help me in the sanding process. I'm just taking a minute to do some quick modifications so that I don't have to do these things with an emery board or sandpaper. I might have to drill through to open up that keyhole, but I'm going to live with it the way that it is, but I really love the finish of the metallic powders. Ready to see the wing? I'm very excited how this comes out. I did a really nice pour job, and I don't think I'm going to have to go back and do too much sanding. Isn't that amazing? The bottom one is the resin casting, and the top one is the one that I've painted and collaged and patinaed. Now that all the parts and pieces are ready, it's time for final assembly. I'm going back to that original clothespin where I've drilled the holes, and I'm going to be screwing on the eye pin. I'm adding an opened up bead cap, which looks like a crown. I'm screwing that on with a washer and screwing that into the top. It's easier if you have some pliers. It gives you some extra leverage so that you can hang on to it easily. I just screw it on snug, and that's it. Then I'm going to add a little bling inside of that head pin, and I'm going to wire wrap a little crystal inside. I love to make pretty things and add bling where I can, but my wire wrapping skills are pretty novice. I'm just wrapping the wire once or twice around just to hold the bead in place. And then I'm going to trim off the excess. I go back and tuck in the loose edges, and then I close up the bead cap and make any adjustments to curl the edges to make it look more like a crown. Now she's got a crown. We're going to give her a necklace also. Now for the necklace, I just did a simple double loop wire wrap and then added some miscellaneous beads. And that double loop that I made is going to hold a key on a jump ring. So she's got a key for her heart, then I trim off the excess and tuck the end between the beads. Isn't that adorable? With a small section of gold floral wire, I wrap 4 times around the neck of the handle, which will be the torso. Then I twist it around the back into one stem. This is going to be fed through the clothespin to secure it with some glue. I do a test fitting first, then I remove it, apply some E6000, then I also add some hot glue for some extra support and press it through the hole. When that cools, I add another bead of hot glue inside the slot of the clothespin for extra added stability. Then I'm going to bend the wire down into the slot to lock it in place. I'm using a folded over section of tulle to fashion a little dress. I use some E6000 to roll down a collar, and then I'm going to use some dots of hot glue to tuck into the corners as I wrap it around. I'm adding the glue under the edge of the resin accent, then gently pressing the tulle into it. You don't want to press the hot glue gun onto the tulle because it will melt. Now that this is secure, I'm going to add a piece of gold ribbon with some E6000, and this will complete her dress. I need to use my pliers to relocate the hole so I can attach the wing with the furniture tack. I'm going to repeat the process with applying the E6000 and then a little bit of hot glue and pressing it into place. Since the E6000 takes about 24 hours to fully cure, I do add some additional spots of hot glue to secure it in place, and I also tuck in the tulle to hide these glue spots. All I need to do now is fluff her dress and make it just so, and then tie a piece of satin ribbon to the top through the eye pin with a nice knot. Thanks for joining me. I will have a detailed list of supplies in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you've enjoyed this project, please give it a thumbs up.